1916 to 1923 Irish Revolution. Written by Legends of War. Narrated by Daniel Griffin.
Introduction. The Easter Rising, also known as the Easter Rebellion, was an armed insurrection in Ireland during Easter week in April 1916. The rising was launched by Irish Republicans against British rule in Ireland with the objective of establishing an independent Irish Republic while the United Kingdom was fighting in the First World War. It was the most significant uprising in Ireland since the Rebellion of 1798 and the first armed conflict of the Irish Revolutionary period. 16 of the rising's leaders were executed from May 1916. The nature of the executions and subsequent political developments ultimately contributed to an increase in popular support for Irish independence. Organized by a 7-man military council of the Irish Republican Brotherhood, the rising began on Easter Monday, April 24, 1916, and lasted for 6 days. Members of the Irish Volunteers were led by schoolmaster and Irish language activist Patrick Pearse, joined by the smaller Irish citizen army of James Connolly, and 200 women of the Connenamban. They seized strategically important buildings in Dublin and proclaimed the Irish Republic. The British Army brought in thousands of reinforcements as well as artillery and a gunboat. There was street fighting on the routes into the city center, where the rebels slowed the British advance and inflicted many casualties. Elsewhere in Dublin, the fighting mainly consisted of sniping and long-range gun battles. The main rebel positions were gradually surrounded and bombarded with artillery. There were isolated actions in other parts of Ireland. Volunteer leader Ewan MacNeill had issued a countermand in a bid to halt the rising, which greatly reduced the number of rebels who mobilized. With much greater numbers and heavier weapons, the British Army suppressed the rising. Patrick Pearse agreed to an unconditional surrender on Saturday, April 29th, although sporadic fighting continued briefly after. After the surrender, the country remained under martial law. About 3,500 people were taken prisoner by the British, and 1,800 of them were sent to internment camps or prisons in Britain. Most of the leaders of the rising were executed following a court-martial. The rising brought physical force republicanism back to the forefront of Irish politics, which for nearly 50 years had been dominated by a constitutional nationalism. Opposition to the British reaction to the rising contributed to changes in public opinion and the move toward independence, as shown in the December 1918 election in Ireland, which was won by the Sinn Féin party, which convened the first Dáil and declared independent.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?